Greetings. I am Legacy Moon, and this is True Crime and Mysteries. I'm going to do this video right here, and I'd like to reach the critical thinkers and deductive reasoning minded people to hear me out. I am just flabbergasted about all of the, I guess you could say, hate and all of the things about Miss Shirley Strawberry. I don't know what it is about some of these black women who are saying that she should have known, or she knew he was married. She just didn't want to know. She should have had him checked out. Well, yeah, anybody who you married these days, you should have checked out. And it's my understanding she did. Yes, Shirley knew the man had a criminal past, but, he was reformed. He put all that behind him, because that's what he said. That's what he's trying to convince, his little side piece of now, that he's just lived this perfect life and he hasn't done anything illegal since his 20s, which if anybody runs his record knows that that's not true. So anyway, I saw a video. I've been seeing things, but I saw a video that kind of irked me a bit. Now, I'm not going to say the name of the video, the content creator. I'm not going to even go into any of that because that's not the purpose of this video. But let's use our thinking skills. You can be charged with marrying a bigamist if you knew they were married. You cannot assume that the man had, I think the count is 5 marriages and 3 divorces. Let's explore this. First of all, there are, I believe, 3 states, California being one of them, where you can have your papers sealed. There are a lot of celebrities out here that are married that some of us didn't know or don't know really are married. It's done like that sometimes where it could be sealed. And just because all of the people researching and looking for their marriage certificate couldn't find it, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. I mean, I cannot see this woman who has a decent job having a whole spread and an Essence sponsored wedding to just cohabitate. That just does not even seem like her style. And you can say background check, she should have checked. And I'm going to tell you, anybody should check. Regular people, me. Before I start seriously dating someone, I would run, check all of those things. But I'm going to tell you, it would never occur to me to check to see if they divorced their last wife, if they're holding themselves out to be single, and if it's somebody that they married, in the 80s? The 80s, the early 90s. I mean, why would I think? The last wife that he had, I'm going to say her name so people can even know what I'm talking about, Carol, they got divorced. So you mean to tell me Shirley Strawberry was supposed to think back and says, okay, well, you divorced Carol, so let me go and see if you divorced Edith and Martha and all of the people. Who would do that? Because my assumption would be, okay, you were married to Carol, you divorced her. I would think he married her free and clear, so I would have no reason to go back to the wife before her to check and see if they had divorced. That just sounds dumb. Excuse me, just dumb. And I would never not date someone because they had a criminal record. Now, I'm going to tell you, it depends on what the criminal record is for and how long ago it was. I mean, that's my standards. It is hard to have the ratio of a black husband, black wife. We outnumber men, period. So everybody's not going to find the tall, dark, handsome black man to marry. Some of us date outside of our race. It happens. And you can check people out. You can decide whether or not you feel that this person is reformed. And apparently, this man plays a good game. Look at all these victims this man has: theft by deception, credit repair scams. And his victims are not just women, he has male victims too. So who would think, you check all this out, and if you listen and follow the jail calls, you would know that on one of the calls, Shirley has said she was getting tired of this. This is like when he first went to jail and she was complaining and she says, I thought your criminal past was behind you. And then, of course, everybody's lying on him, of course, So my only problem with Shirley and all of this was how that man manipulated the relationship with her daughter. That was my only problem. All these other things, I'm not going to say she knew about his crimes. She knew that he was doing this, that, and the third. How? Shirley is the one he was not a come up for her. She was his come up. She didn't need him. He needed her. So this is not like one of those things where, she got married and had this fantasy life and lived her life with her head in the sand. I defy anybody who says they don't want a perfect, happy life. I mean, I would think that would be one of your goals. I want to fall in love, get married, have children, live happily ever after. I mean, I thought that was the dream that most little girls have. I had it. So who is going to sit up and constantly think that a woman, especially a busy career woman such as herself, is going to just be sitting up, checking cell phones, checking this, checking that, because if I've got to do all that to somebody I'm married to, I don't need to be married to him. And also, what people are not understanding, this man has been charged with bigamy as a part of a RICO case. So that should tell you right there. They have in there for people, I don't know, either haven't read or don't follow anybody who goes over the documents, but they have an application number. They are charging him with filling out a false document. Oh my God, I'm talking like that man. They have him for filling out a false document, for holding himself out to be divorced. There is a application number that they reference to bring this charge. So there was a marriage license. And I am almost positive she thought that this man was free to marry. And these charges are against him because he swore on a legal document and lied and held himself out to be eligible to be married. So I just think if you don't know enough about the case or you haven't actually looked at the documents, you can't just make a video and accuse Shirley of or say she's going to be charged with bigamy too because she knew good and full well that he was married. Well, she didn't know, and apparently the state of Georgia didn't know until they started investigating it. So, and people need to get up off of that. We can't find her certificate. First of all, this man he's so deviant that he changes the spelling of his name. Who knows how he was spelling it to the very day that he filled out the application? Who knows? But they would not be able to charge him with that charge and have the summary read the way it read, the indictment summary. They would not be able to do that with an attached application number if they didn't have proof that he was guilty of that or had committed that crime. And another thing that people are doing is looking at the date of the indictment, the date that she initially filed for the divorce. Who cares? All this time people have been saying she needs to divorce him. She needs to divorce him. She files for divorce. And now people What took her so long? Well, she knew he was married. She knew this was coming. Are you people serious? I don't know if there are people who don't live on the earth that I live on, but things in your life, in other people's life, don't go the way you think or expect them to go in your own life. The same principles that you apply in your daily life may not be the same principles that someone else has in theirs. And I think that people are just so closed mind that they really think that this lady, some people say she's not a celebrity. I've been knowing who Shirley Strawberry was for years. So you cannot tell me that she runs in that circle of people. She's that visible. I mean, she's written 2 books. I believe she helped Steve Harvey write one of his. You can't make me believe she would willingly marry a man that she knew was not divorced. And she had no reason to suspect he wasn't divorced because the last woman he was married to, Carol, they got divorced. She filed and they were divorced. So she would have no reason to dig back and look at Martha and Edith and all of those. She would have no reason to. And another thing this person they brought up that, he has kids. You knew he had kids. Well, here again, do you follow the case? Because as we can see, he only folds with 2 of his children, Dion and Laverte. That's who he folds with. He doesn't even fold with the person. 2 of his kids are victims. So come on. I mean, I just need people to have an open mind, use deductive reasoning and critical thinking skills, and think before you make such salacious statements. Because I will never, and I don't care, I will never believe she married him and she knew he was already married and hadn't been divorced. And you tell me the woman who's going to sit up and marry somebody and check to see if 3 wives that he had before the last one he had was still married. Who is going to do that? I know I wouldn't, because the assumption is, well, he just got divorced from that one. So stands the reason he must not have been, he must not be married. I mean, come on, just come on. But that's my rant. And, y'all tell me what y'all think or how y'all feel in the comments. But this is what I think and this is what I feel. And I just think that before you make videos and make statements about who knew what, when, where, how, and why, you need to follow the case a little bit closer than what you apparently are, because you would know in the documents, it has the application that the man filed. It has the number. So I don't know where you're going. I don't know, but just stop, please. Leave that lady alone. She is dealing with and has gone through enough. And I'm sure she has learned her lesson. She is almost 70 years old. And to have to go through this in this point in her life has got to be very detrimental, which could also account for why it took her so long to divorce him. Because in the beginning, she did believe he was innocent. And she did believe that they were out to get him. I think she has since learned some things. And even still knowing that, you don't just wake up one morning and say, I'm going to get a divorce. You have to, there are some people who use lawyers. There are some people who do it themselves. But that's just not something to just wake up and say, I'm going to denounce the last 10 years of my life. That's not an easy decision. It's the right decision. And she eventually came to it. But just because she didn't come to it as quickly as I would have, or maybe some of you would have, that doesn't mean she's guilty of anything. She's guilty of supporting and being in love with a man who I am convinced married her just so he can take advantage of her and her connections and her money. Because as we can see, and I'm going to always reference this, that man didn't even have the money to buy his own computer for his little security company. She had to do that. So y'all stop. Just stop. I thank you for listening. Once again, I am Legacy Moon. Don't forget to thumbs up the video and come back and see me.